that you had something really important to say to someone that you're close with, and they weren't listening, or even they were ignoring you. Try to remember how that felt. Active listening is a huge emotional intelligence skill, and it's one that really impacts our overall emotional intelligence, or our EQ. And our EQ is greater than our IQ. What this means is that our emotional intelligence skills, or the very skills we're working on in this series, are actually a better predictor of your overall success and happiness in life than is your IQ skills, your ability to process and retain information. Back to the active listening story. When you're not listening to someone, or when you don't feel heard, that can be a big relationship withdrawal. People that don't feel heard get frustrated, and they feel like they're not as close to that other person. Everybody you meet has an invisible sign on their forehead that says, "Make me feel important." And the people that make us feel important, we generally like. And the people that make us feel unimportant, we don't like those people. One of my good friends, Jerry, is a very good active listener, and it's part of the reason we're friends. But what's really interesting about Jerry is he's really good at doing this even in small situations. So like when Jerry and I go to a restaurant, he will make a quick conversation with the hostess and then the waiter and then the person that clears our table. And he's really good at it. He'll ask questions about their favorite thing on the menu, or their name, or their accent, and then he'll listen attentively as they share whatever they share. And this always brings about smiles. But what's interesting is often he also ends up getting great service, maybe a great table, or an extra biscuit, or an iced tea to go. And he doesn't do this because he's trying to get those things. He's just making genuine connections, and those connections pay off for everyone. Active listening is a huge relationship deposit. So we know what bad listening looks like and feels like, because we thought about that in the past. But what does good listening look like and feel like? I like to teach good listening around an acronym of EARS. If you're going to be a great listener, you need ears. And the E in ears stands for eye contact. When you're making eye contact with someone, you're saying that I think you are important. And when you're not making eye contact with someone, you're kind of saying, I don't think you're important. You're not showing them attention. Now, in some cultures, eye contact is not as customary. And if that's the case for you, what you need to do is find other ways to make sure you're making the speaker feel that you are focused on them. All right, the A in ears stands for asking open questions and acknowledging the speaker. And acknowledging the speaker means things like head nods, or eyebrow movements, or chin rubs, or temple touches, or any kind of gesture, or again, asking them questions. This kind of acknowledgement keeps the speaker going and makes them feel, again, like you're paying attention. The R stands for reflecting feelings. So much of our message is not in the words, but rather the tone of voice behind the words. What you say is not as important as how you say it. If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" Or if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" Those are the same sets of words with very different messages. And it's important that I reflect the feelings and say, "Hey, it sounds like you're frustrated with me. What should I be doing?" Then the S in ears stands for summarize. Summarize is basically to say back to the other person what you heard, but say it in your own words. This again makes sure the person knows that you're listening and make sure that you have gotten the point correctly. All right. Active listening is a huge skill that really boosts our emotional intelligence and impacts all of our relationships. So what I want you to do is start asking more questions and start listening. And when you really are listening, make sure you're all ears. And I'll see you in the next video.